Hi everyone, back with another video. I apologize for the chaos. I don't know why I always do that. I mean, whatever, that's part of having chronic illness, is that it's hard to keep up with stuff like that. And my options are either clean my room and then probably collapse and fall asleep at 6 o'clock because I can't move, or I could make a video and then still get to go see my friend tonight. Which one am I gonna choose? I wanted to be able to have an example to give you, because I do have one old medical ID, like a bracelet, that didn't personally work for me because the skin, where like the clasping was, my skin would get really irritated and it would almost like burn. Totally doesn't happen to everybody, but this particular one did not work for me. So I have a new one that I recently ordered. So I have a bag tag thing here, which I'll show you when I get to talking about that. First I wanted to talk about kind of like the pros and cons. Reasons you might want to get one, reasons you might want to not get one. It's totally a personal choice, and it's, you know, lots of people can have opinions about these kinds of things, but it's up to you. It's up to you talking to your doctor, to your family members, the people you spend time with, who are around you, who would who that kind of thing would be important for. Those are the people you want to be talking to, and those are the opinions you want to be listening to. I say as I'm about to give some opinion. I'm giving very broad opinions. So, things that I personally have thought of and I've heard from others that can be cons to having a medical ID on your person at all times. It can be bulky, depending on what kinds you get. They can be pretty bulky. They can be pretty thick, or maybe they get in the way of you wearing a watch, or something like that. With a medical ID, there's lots of personal information being carried around, and I know that can be a problem for some people. They don't want to have that much information about themselves being themselves. This is going to be a fun one to edit. Accessible to the public, like that. Like what if it got stolen, and now all this information about you was out in the world with some person probably who might not do very good things with it. Sorry, just my notes. Brain fog. And then the third one that I've heard, this is the one that I've heard come up the most, I think, is like, what's the point? How do we know that EMTs, paramedics, they're even gonna look at it? And here's my thought on that one. You're right. It's very true that they may not look at it. They may not be trained to look at it. Maybe they're not trained in how many different types of medical IDs there are. Maybe for a whole number of reasons. Yeah, they might not see it. But in my opinion, I would rather wear one. I say as I'm not wearing it. I would rather wear one on the off chance that should something happen, that a paramedic might look at it. If they don't look at it, they don't look at it. But that's kind of like adding in like higher chances that you won't be given a medication that you're highly allergic to, or something along those lines. So now to some of the pros. Again, what I've come up with. Not everyone might have had exposure to what this kind of thing even is. So I'm going to say them anyway. So there are tons of different types and sizes and colors even that make it so that you can really get one that fits your needs and fits you and that kind of thing. This is the big one. Whole main reason for wearing one is that if you're alone and something happens due to one of your conditions, maybe you're with a friend or a family member who doesn't know much about your medical history and couldn't tell the paramedics, hey, she has an anaphylactic reaction to morphine, don't give her morphine. If they don't know that kind of stuff, if they don't have a way to know it, whether it's the paramedics, whether it's your companion, there's parts of your medical history, I mean, even beyond that, that could be really crucial to you getting the treatment that is necessary to keep you alive. About like the allergies. I think allergies to medications is a thing that doctors tend to look out for more these days. But if you're unconscious and nobody was with you, then there's nobody to tell. And like maybe it's not a hospital that you've already been in their system. Nobody's going to be able to tell them like, hey, I have an anaphylactic. You're not going to be able to tell them, hey, I have an anaphylactic reaction to morphine. Don't give me that. Or, hey, I have an anaphylactic reaction to eggs and there's egg product in so-and-so medication, so don't give me those. That kind of thing. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the options. I know it looks like a lot. Some of this is just what I want to say, and I know I was going to forget it, so. Okay, option number 1, to have a medical ID on your phone. I'm sure most people know about this one, that on your phone, whether it's an iPhone, there's got to be one on a Samsung and other types of phones, but there is, in the health app, there's an option for you to set up a medical ID. And you can put a lot of information in there. So, I mean, I think everyone should have this at least, whether you have any serious conditions or not. Just having your emergency contacts in there could make a lot of difference. And you can access it from, it can be accessed from your phone, at least on an iPhone, without having to unlock it. So, and with that, Apple Watch. That's what I've currently been using, but I haven't charged it in like 5 days, which isn't great because I've also been in like a progressively worse flare, so I should probably should change that. It doesn't have more information than the medical ID on the iPhone, but it is it might be more accessible, and you can get like some sort of like sleeve to go on the band that's like, I have a medical ID or something like that. And at least with I have the newest model of the Apple Watch, which has a fall detector. So if you fall and it detects like something hitting the ground suddenly, it'll ask you if you're okay, and then it'll do like a countdown, and you have 30 seconds, 40 seconds to say yes before it calls 911. And luckily I've never had to use it, but you can also access the medical ID right there. So the kind that I chose to go with was from a company called My ID. You may have heard of them. They are probably pretty up there in the medical ID world at this point, because they have a really great system thing that goes along with the medical ID that I think makes it really really appropriate for somebody in the condition of having conditions that don't have a lot of knowledge about them, or maybe they have a lot or lots of medications. You can't always fit it onto a generic one. So the My ID, I wish I had my old one to show you because it was from there. My new one will be too. Not here yet. Should get here tomorrow. Excited. So they have lots of different styles. They have one that's like really like nice and sleek, and they might even call it the sleek. I'm not sure. That I could be wrong, but that can be good for not being like super obvious, but it still has information on it. You can get engravings on the tags. You can get sleeves like I was talking about earlier, and they make sleeves to fit other things like the Apple Watch that say like, hey, I have a medical ID, or anaphylactic reactions, or something to just like catch their eye, so they're like, wait, we should be careful with this person. So I think what makes this one of the most valuable ones out there in terms of, you know, taking care of your survival is that on the back of every one of their bracelets, there's a QR code, and the QR code also has like an ID number on it, and you hook up that ID to a massive online profile that you can create. You can put so much of your medical history in there. You can put past medications you've tried that haven't worked. You could put emergency contacts, family history, contacts to your providers, you know, just a lot of options depending on what you're wanting to put in the medical ID. And this QR code is something that can be scanned by the paramedics or scanned by anyone, really, in order to help you. It can be, the online profile can be accessed on multiple devices, on your phone, your tablet, your computer, all of that. When you update it on one ID information, it updates it on the others. It's a really good option for people who have a lot of conditions or are taking a lot of medications, have a complicated history, have just one really complex condition that really wouldn't fit, the important information wouldn't fit on a small panel again. And you can also change it as many times as you need to, which is part of what I like about it, is that, you know, especially when you're in the diagnostic process for something, things are changing constantly. Medications, you try this one, it doesn't work, so you go to this one. You might try a crazy number of medications over the course of like 2 months or something, and you wouldn't want to have to be buying a new one every time. So the next style, so this next part is other styles of wearable IDs that are often used. So there's like non-interchangeable bracelets, which you can get like bangle ones, and they have information on it, and that information is all that is on there. Really great for somebody with one condition like type 1 diabetes or peanut allergy or something like that. I think those are ones that most people have heard about and like seen that sort of medical ID. Then there's bracelets with an interchangeable panel. They often have like a metal panel, and it's like, I'm not even gonna try to do it. It's kind of like an oval with the ends cut off and like places to connect it to the bracelet part. And then you have your bracelet. It might be like a rigid one. It might be one that's out of like paracord or wire or chain links or something like that. So there's lots of different options there. But then you can get a new panel for the top if something big were to change. There are some necklaces that get used. I think you can get a necklace that looks like any regular necklace. I don't exactly know where the ID stuff would go on there, but you can also get, a lot of people use like dog tags, and they have it engraved on to those. I think another thing that people worry about with having a medical ID bracelet is how it's going to look. I mean, that's not, there's zero judgment there. It's important to people how they look. It's important to some people. It's not important to others, that kind of thing, but it's really important to some people. So there are bracelets that are made to be much more like jewelry, so that can be really helpful to people who are worried about one that's going to be like big and bulky. Most of them are waterproof, I believe. I think all the ones from my ID are waterproof, which makes sense. You want to be able to wear them all the time, but felt worthy of making a note of. And there's two other options that give you the ability to change your information frequently or store a lot of information. And I haven't seen this kind in person, but there you can get bracelets that somehow have some sort of little USB drive in them that you can load up your important information onto, and then, you know, at the hospital they can put that into any computer. So and then the other one is that it has like a slit or a pouch or something that comes with a paper for filling out your emergency information on, and then you can obviously change that as needed. And then there's definitely options for kids. Probably in most of these that I've talked about, and babies too. And those tend to be like, you know, those like silicone bracelets that you get is what is used with babies, and it goes around their ankle. Okay, so this one is, I think, cool. Tattoos. You have the option to get a permanent tattoo for something that, you know, is permanent, obviously. Basically anything that you know is not going away anytime soon, and you don't want to wear a bracelet or something. You still want to have it somewhere pretty visible, because the point is for the emergency workers to be able to find it, and well, if it's like a tramp stamp or something, they might not be able to find it when they need to. But then I learned about this not too long ago, and I think it's really cool. Like the use of temporary tattoos for this kind of thing, like for kids. Maybe you're going to SeaWorld with your kids, and one of them has a serious allergy or something like that. You can get temporary tattoos to put on their arms, or on their arms, that has, you know, your contact information and like big information, like, I don't even remember what I said this kid had. I don't think I said this kid had any, whatever they have that is serious for people to know in an emergency. But the other place I've heard of it being used, again, temporary tattoos to go on your wrist right above where your hospital bracelets are. So this is for when you're inpatient in the hospital, for medication allergies primarily, is you put on there no morphine, and then when they come to, if they come to try to scan your bracelet to give you morphine, they'll see that and they'll be like, oh, not gonna do that. So that's an option. And then there are some options that are not worn on your person, which include a bag tag. Let's see if I can show you this without showing the... So it's got some basic information about the conditions I have, and also says to look for other medical IDs that I might be wearing. Apple Watch, other bracelet on my phone, whatnot. So then here is the front, and what I'm covering up is my emergency contact person and their number, which is my mom. So that, I have that on my school backpack. You can have a keychain one, which I've only heard of a few places selling that, but it's not, I made this. So I have a laminator and a hole punch and a ring thingy, and I made it. So it wasn't that hard. There's some places make like stickers. I think it's my ID that does this because they have the QR code on them that you can like stick on your kid's lunchbox for summer camp, or on their helmet if they're going out on a bike ride, or that sort of thing. And then lastly that I came up with is similar to the bag tag, but it's a wallet card. So you can put that in your wallet. You know, I assume EMTs look there too, like they're trying to figure out who the heck you are. They're trying to find your IDs, and they're probably also trying to figure out, they might see it if you put it like right there. So again, all of these are great options, and obviously I'm not using just one. You might want to change it up, or maybe you have decided that you don't want one, and that's okay too. It's your decision to make. Here are just a couple of places that I came up with. They usually have them at the drugstore or pharmacy that's near you. You probably will find them over by the diabetes care section. That's where I've most often seen them. There are a lot of options on Amazon, and I'm sure they're perfectly great options. So you can check that out and see what different ones they have. Like I've said, my ID. And I'm feeling compelled to just say that I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not nearly. Yeah, no, I don't have. 3 people will probably watch this video. So it wouldn't be very effective in their part. I just really like their products. They have the many styles and lots of colors. That's one I like. The one I'm getting is pink. And sizes. You can make one yourself, as I just showed. And then lastly, there's a company called Lauren's Hope, which has a ton of different styles for kids and for adults. And I don't know a lot about their company. I've never had one myself. But I do know that they have a lot of options that are more jewelry-like, less medical ID-like. So if that's something that's important to you, then that could be a good place to check out. So there you have it. Hopefully this helps somebody, even just one person. And if it doesn't help anybody, just gave me just gave me practice at making videos. So I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day, and if you're not, that's okay too. Keep fighting on. That's better. That's a good way to put it. Tomorrow's a new day, and that's super cheesy, and I don't like being told that, so I'm just gonna cut that part out. Not everybody might not. I can't talk today.
Look at my cat. She's really cute. Right up on my pillow. Or in my... Obviously, in my own opinion. How many disclaimers am I going to do about that?